Hi, I am Soham and I'm from Starcom. So today I'll be giving a short demo on one of our flagship products called StarDQ. Now, as we know that there's a huge amount of data which is being created every day from different sources, getting access to a clean data is necessity for any data-driven organization. So StarDQ is a potent tool when it comes to data cleansing, data enrichment, or data de-duping. Millions of records can be processed within minutes. So let me show you how it is done. Okay, so first of all, let me show you the data I'll be working with so that the picture becomes clear that what are the changes StarDQ can make, how the transformation basically works. Okay, so this is an Excel file. So I'll be using this demo.data Excel file for my demo purpose. So first column we can see there is phone number of the customer, followed by customer name, middle name and last name, customer email, customer address 1, 2 and customer address 3, his state, city, date of birth, photo ID and father's name. So what happens generally, there's a lot of discrepancies which is there in the data. For example, we can see the email are in caps. So when I apply rule using our StarDQ, I can apply any of the predefined rules and it will give me, it will create or it will transform the email into a format as per my requirement. And we can also see that the customer address is separated in 3 different columns, and if I want to merge it into one, it can be done. And in address we can see that there is no pin code given in the address, so there is no pin code here. We can see that there is no pin code given anywhere. So we use inbuilt lexicons and some algorithms specifically designed for Indian names and addresses, so which takes care of these sort of discrepancies available in the data. Now let's straight away move to the demo. So this is how the StarDQ console looks like. It has got basically 4 components. First is where we connect it to a data source. It can be connected to any of the SQL, Oracle data sources. The second is data cleansing, when we define certain rules into all the columns as per our requirement, and then the data is transformed as per our requirement. And after the data has been cleansed, the next step is data de-duping, where we create clustered data as well as unique records. So in clustered data, for example, if I take an example of telecom data, one customer, or let's say insurance, one customer can have multiple policies. So what we do is we create clusters of that particular customer. Under that customer name, all the policies will be mentioned. So the efficiency rate, if I talk about, is around 98.4%. So we can get unique customers as well as we can get clustered view of the customer. So let's start. First things first, let's connect to the data source. Okay, so first I need to select a process. Let's say I give it a name, let's say demo 1. Save. So the process name has been created, it's demo 1. Now let's connect it to the data source. I can give any name, for example ABC, or now connected type. Connected type gives you the option to connect to various databases. For example, if I click here database, so I can enter my credentials here, or I can write my query and I'll be connected to the concerned database. But somehow for my demo purpose I'll be using a flat file, an Excel file. So let me select file here, upload. So let's say I want to upload demo data.csv. Okay, so it will give me a bird's eye view. Like I can just have a glance, what kind of data I have, phone number, customer, the same data file. So the same Excel file which I have shown you earlier. So let's start processing now. Confirm. So now we can see there is a tick mark. So data has been uploaded. Now let's see the field statistics. Field statistics is basically, it gives you information about the data. For example, we can see on top right hand side that there is the total count is around 10,000 rows. So it has got around 10,000 rows or 10,000 records. And the first is, let's say, phone number of the customer, the type of data it is, whether it's a string variable or number, how many empty values are there, what's the minimum and minimum length, maximum length. So all these information can be viewed in this window. So let's move to the other part. Before that, it's important for me to tell you that there are two very important options here. One is schedule and another is incremental update. So in schedule, what happens that first of all, it's a fully automated process, but different company have their defined different set of rules. So after defining the rules for the first time, of course it has to be done manually. So after defining the rules for the first time, after that it will automatically understand what kind of rules to be applied in the data which is coming in, given other things are similar or other things are same. For example, if I want to schedule this particular process, so I can, let's say, every day I know my data comes in at around 11 at night. So I want to schedule it, let's say 12 midnight every day. So I can just click here, but this is not available because I'm using a flat file. But whenever I'm connected to a data source or database, it will happen. So I can set the time and the scheduling process will be automatically taken care of. So every morning I wake up, so I'll get the cleansed deduped data available on my desk. Now incremental update. If there is, for example, there is an incremental update. If I click here, I can enable it. I can duplicate. I can select whatever field I want to select on incremental data, and based on that field, it will deduplicate the records. It will remove the redundancies completely. So this was all about scheduling and incremental update. Now let's move to the second part of DQ. The first is, let's say, map columns. So here what we do is we see what are all the variables we are having right now, and we need to map them. For example, phone, let me make it as unique. And we can see, as I've already explained, customer first name, middle name, last name. So these are appearing different columns, but somehow I want it in one particular format and in one particular column. So I'll select merge column and I'll give it a name. Let's say I give it name and say first name, middle name, last name, confirm. So on bottom we can see a new column has been created with all the merge values. Since it's name, so we can map it to name. Similarly, for address also, we will put all the addresses separated into 3 columns into one particular column. Confirm. So now again we can see that name, address, all has been merged into one particular column. Let's see what else we can do. Okay, there is one column for email. So in email also, let me convert it to email. And okay, so I forgot one thing. In city, let's say I would like to edit. I would like to add city also in address. That basically gives it a complete dimension. So let's confirm it. Yes. So let's make it address, and email we have already changed it. Yeah, I think that's fine. Like, let's proceed. Save. So I have mapped all the columns. Now let's proceed to the next steps. So here we define the rules for every column in order to get it cleansed. For example, my business, I have got some rules, in order to see my customers' data into a specific format. So on the basis of that, I can define rules. For example, let's say I have already created a column called name, and I want to remove all the let's say leading and trailing spaces, convert it to proper case. Any non-printable characters I want to remove, any other characters are there I want to remove, and I want to make it to, let's say, okay, that's fine, I think. So I'll save it, then I'll apply the same thing into address. I'll apply rules. Let's say I want to remove all my leading and trailing blanks, convert it to, let's say, upper, remove all this. So this is the most crucial step in terms of address specifics. So we have, over the 2 decades, we have been into this business for almost 2 decades now. Over the 2 decades, we have created certain lexicons. So if I click here, I can see, let's say, India, because it's the data is of like India, and let's say the data, I know that the data is from Karnataka, so I'll select Karnataka. The moment I select this, so it will, the inbuilt lexicons will automatically understand the different places in Karnataka I am talking about, or the data will basically understand which part of geography we are talking about, and it will enrich the data based on that. Now here we can see there are different lexicons or abbreviations which are there. If I click city abbreviation, so these many abbreviations are there, second, third. So now in terms of address also we can see apartment, ashram, avenue, bazaar, pargar. So all these abbreviations are there, and since it's our own proprietary tool, if there are some additions which need to be done as per the client's request, so it can be done quite easily. Okay, so I know the country is India and the state is Karnataka, which I have, like, the changes I have already made. And let's say okay, so I'll save it again. Similarly, if I talk about email, let's say let's talk about customer email. So I want to remove all spaces, convert it into lower, remove all this, and let's say let's put some validation rules as email. For example, let's say if the email, let's say it contains Yahoo, invalid email. So wherever I know that my data has the customers, who are having email in only one particular domain, let's say Gmail. So wherever there is Yahoo, I want it to be invalid. So I can specify this rule. I'll save and close. So the rules part and the mapping part is over. Now it's the deduplication part. It's the most crucial part. So I'll click here, and let's say I'll select name, because I've already applied some rules on name. Comparison algorithm. So these are the different algorithms, for example, and our like where we score is we have over the years we have developed some algorithms based on Indian names and addresses. So there are different algorithms, but if I talk about India, so Indian name and Indian addresses are the most effective algorithms. So since it's name and it's Indian name, I'll select Indian name. So now I have to select the match percentage. So for this, let's say I want to say that wherever there is a 70% match, make a cluster. And if there is not a 70% match, then there are 20%. It's the margin for error. So basically, it's saying that if there is a match, so match it on to 70%. If there is not a match, then consider -20. Now, if I add another de-dupe rule, let's say I have address, so I'll use Indian address algorithm here, and let's say I want to give it 70 and 40. So the reason I have given 40 here is basically if there is not a match of 70% in the address, then there are a lot more chances that the person is not the same. So I have increased the negative person. So it's basically data specific, and what kind of clusters the customer wants to see, it's decided by them. Based on that, this can be done. Once the rules evolved, it can be fully automated. So overall threshold, that is overall match percentage, let's give it 70%. Now I want to index it by name, so I have selected name here. So if there is any specific case which I know that it's a unique case, so I can select here anything, and it can be moved directly to the unique record. Skip comparison. For example, there are cases where there is NA or there are null values. So in that case, I can select in name. I can select in or empty or contains whatever. Then I can select null or empty. So in this way, those particular comparisons will not be compared at all. They will not happen. So they will be excluded. Now, if there is any skip word, for example, it is again business specific. So all these rules are basically business rules. So if let's say in name I want to skip certain things, for example, let's say I want to skip Mr., Mrs., Shri. So these sort of the Mr., Mrs., Shri, these sort of things can be manually entered and skipped. Apart from this also, if a particular company has certain predefined rules ready in a ready format, so there is also a scope where that particular sheet can be uploaded in this system, and if it is smart enough to understand all the rules, and it will automatically set the rules accordingly. So I am done with this. Now I'll save and close. So we can see all the prerequisites or all the rules and de-dupe rules, matching rules are all, cleansing rules are all done. Now let's run it. So now it says StarDQ notification process completed. That means the process has been completed. Now if I want to check how much time it takes, so it took, in order to process 10,000 rows, it took 8 seconds. And this time is dependent on the cores, number of cores we are using, the machine we are using, the RAM and all that. So it's dependent on that basically. So it can be really fast. And here we can see different stages and how much time it took to process those particular stages. So I have already completed my process. Now if I want to see, let's say I want to see how many clusters have been created on this data. So I can download this if I want to see. Let me open it. Yeah. So these are the clusters which have been created. Now to make it a more little bit clear, so we can say that it has created 1183 clusters in this. So we have given weightage to name, address, these two particular parameters. So we can see in this clusters, for example, we can see there is Nath and Kumar. This is one cluster of 3 people, basically of 3. So we can see, even though there can be a problem in the entry and all that, but since it's a combination of name and address, it has made it a cluster. So here we can see the surname or the middle name is Nath. Here it is different. But again, since the address rules which we have mentioned, for example, customer email, I have put all these rules. I have converted them into lowercase. So all these cases have been converted or transformed as per my requirements. And also there is, if I talk about enrichment, now we can also see that here we can see that so this is basically data viewer. Those were the clusters which have formed. Now if I talk about data viewer, let me check if there is an enrichment or not. It is bound to happen. Yes, so we can see that in address, BLR has been converted to Bangalore. There is no pin here, there is no pin number. So it has the system is smart enough to understand wherever it found, based on those lexicons, wherever it found the street name and all that, and if that pin number is available. So here we can see this sort of enrichment has already been taken place. Here also we can see, in this case also we can see that there is no pin number here, and there is BLR. So it has been converted to Bangalore, and pin number has also been enriched. And we can see there is another column here for cities. So it has been also added. It's showing different cities, basically Mysore, Bangalore, based on the pin number. It shows whether it is unique, because since this is the unique data, so it is basically data viewer, so it will show me all the unique customers which have been formed. So here we can see that there is a separate column itself added only for the pin number. So depending on the data and depending on the rules, it can process almost any kind of data. So once we are done with all this, so we can select the output as per our requirement. For example, let's say if I want to target some columns, so I want to, for example, let's say I can give any name. I can select any database, whether I want this data to directly get into the database, or I want the file as an output, file name ABC. I can give any random name. So this is just defining the output. So map columns, how I want to see my output. So I can do that. I can, if I want to delete any particular, I don't want the phone number, so I can delete it. I don't want let's say photo ID, so I can delete it. So all these things are possible. It basically shows how I want my data, the output. So it's fine. I'll just save and close. Okay. So after that, I think I have that's it for now. I think I have completed all the processes, and I have shown you all the clusters which I have formed, all the data, all the cleansing, deduping, enrichment, how it is formed, and what are the parameters I passed. So thank you so much.